Hey Cowboys Nation! Today we are diving deep into the heart of what has been a roller coaster season for America's team. From the first snap to the latest game, there are patterns that have become impossible to ignore, and it all starts in the middle of the defense. Kenneth Murray has been a presence on the field week in and week out, recording a number of tackles that looks impressive on paper. 73 tackles, for instance. Sounds like a player making a huge impact, but the reality is far more complex. Tackles in isolation don't tell the story. In fact, when one player leads the team in tackles, it often points to how frequently the defense is being exposed and forced to make plays in situations that should never have occurred. What fans are truly looking for are the game-changing moments, the pivotal plays that swing momentum, halt critical drives, and reshape the course of a matchup. Those plays, the ones that actually define elite defenders, have been surprisingly scarce from Murray. Athleticism is evident. He can move, he can pursue, and he can hit, but football is about so much more than raw physical ability. Instinct, awareness, positioning, and the ability to consistently make the right play at the right moment are what separate the good from the great, and at this point, Murray has yet to consistently demonstrate those traits. Coverage responsibilities have been below average, run support has been lacking, and even pairing him with other linebackers like Logan Wilson hasn't fully mitigated the issues. The argument for exploring alternatives is becoming more compelling by the week. Whether that means giving Wilson more responsibility or trusting younger players like Shamar James with meaningful snaps. James is unpolished, but his potential is tangible, and at this stage, untapped upside can be more valuable than stagnation. Murray, unfortunately, appears to have plateaued, and the Cowboys cannot afford to let positional weaknesses linger. The defensive scheme itself has raised questions too. Matt Eberflus's approach is meant to be bend but don't break. But the line between bending and breaking has blurred into repeated vulnerability. At crucial moments, 4 touchdown games with 0 turnovers forced is a pattern that frustrates any fan watching closely. Blitzing, which could inject unpredictability and create pressure, has been inconsistently deployed, and the opportunities for impact players to make a difference have been limited. Oversh, for instance, is capable of disruptive plays when unleashed, yet the scheme rarely allows him to operate in situations where his strengths can be fully realized. Shamar James shows flashes of the kind of playmaking ability that could change outcomes, but he remains on the periphery. Interestingly, Murray is more effective as a blitzer than in coverage, but the defensive approach continues to favor conservative zone schemes that fail to leverage the talent on the field. Confidence in the defensive system is hard to maintain when players capable of impact are not positioned to maximize their potential. And this has been a recurring theme across multiple seasons. The big question is whether the coaching staff will adapt in time to salvage meaningful victories, or if adherence to old habits will continue to define defensive shortcomings. Special teams deserve the same level of scrutiny. Beyond the obvious stats, the hidden yardage losses, penalties on returns, missed assignments, and lapses in coverage accumulate quietly but meaningfully, often swinging field position by substantial margins. A seemingly minor 10-yard penalty on a return can erase the benefits of an otherwise successful play, and over the course of a season, these small but critical moments add up. Adjustments are needed, whether through personnel changes, smarter assignments, or finding creative ways to use players like Sam Williams in more prominent roles. The offense, despite flashes of talent, has frequently struggled to start fast, and early deficits put the defense and special teams under intense pressure. Opening quarters where the team falls behind 6-3 or worse, 21-0, create an uphill battle that affects the entire game plan. Slow starts force the offense into catch-up mode, where predictability, pressure, and mistakes become magnified, and every misstep on defense or special teams compounds the problem. Cornerback play continues to be an area of concern. Trevon Diggs, when healthy, has the capability to be a game-changer, capable of altering the course of contests with interceptions, breakups, and tight coverage on elite receivers, yet inconsistency has prevented him from reaching full impact. Savoni Rebel provides moments of stability, but players like Callan Carson and Reddy Stewart have not consistently performed at the level necessary to anchor the secondary. Finding the right mix of starters and backups is essential, particularly in a division where every lapse is punished. Strategic deployment of these athletes is crucial, as the secondary success or lack thereof often dictates the team's competitiveness in divisional matchups and against top-tier offenses league-wide. The defensive front requires balance between aggression and calculated risk. Players who can generate pressure, force turnovers, and disrupt offensive rhythm must be prioritized in both scheming and execution. The current approach, which often emphasizes limiting big plays over creating them, has rendered the defense reactive instead of proactive. Blitz patterns, coverage assignments, and linebacker deployment need to reflect individual skill sets. Players like Oversh are natural weapons in creative blitz packages, yet opportunities for impactful use remain limited. Comparing past productivity under different defensive schemes to current usage highlights systemic problems, namely the challenge of aligning coaching philosophy with player strengths. Respecting a bend but don't break framework is one thing, but when the defense cannot execute discipline, create high-impact plays, or adjust dynamically, the philosophy becomes ineffective. Opponents exploit weak gaps in run fits, poor coverage angles, and predictable blitzes, which has become a consistent narrative for this Cowboys team. On the offensive side, early rhythm remains a critical concern. Slow starts, particularly in run-heavy opening sequences, place the team behind early and force the offense into predictable patterns. Quarters where the Cowboys fall behind by double-digit margins exacerbate pressure on quarterbacks, receivers, and the offensive line. Every error is magnified under these circumstances, from turnovers to missed assignments, compounding the challenge of recovering and generating momentum. The lack of early efficiency on offense feeds directly into defensive fatigue, placing additional strain on a unit already struggling with consistency. The broader picture is clear. The Cowboys have talent across the roster, but execution, situational awareness, and personnel decisions have undermined potential success. Defensive vulnerabilities, slow starting offensive sequences, and special teams errors have combined to create a fragile equilibrium where every misstep is magnified. Bold adjustments, whether through benching underperforming veterans, experimenting with promising young talent, or taking calculated strategic risks, are necessary to alter the team's trajectory. Fans are watching every decision closely, and the margin for error is shrinking as the season progresses. Translating talent into tangible results has been the overarching challenge, and without immediate adjustments, the Cowboys risk repeating mistakes in pivotal moments that can define the course of games. As we dig even deeper into the intricacies of this Dallas Cowboys season, one of the most glaring issues continues to be consistency. On offense, flashes of brilliance are often overshadowed by predictable patterns and sluggish starts. The reliance on the running game in early drives, while occasionally effective, has left the passing game underutilized, forcing quarterbacks into high-pressure situations where mistakes are amplified. When the team falls behind early, the play calling becomes predictable, the tempo shifts unfavorably, and the offensive line is tasked with extended stints in the trenches. Every minor miscue in protection, every forced throw, and every dropped pass is magnified under this pressure, creating a cycle that the Cowboys have struggled to break. The lack of rhythm in the first quarter cascades into the rest of the game, impacting the offense's ability to sustain drives and putting additional stress on the defense and special teams. This slow start dynamic has been particularly evident against high-powered opponents, where even small deficits become insurmountable without swift adjustments. Turning back to the defensive side, the challenges extend beyond the middle linebacker position and into the front seven. As a whole, the Cowboys' struggle to stop the run consistently has placed an enormous burden on the secondary and has allowed opposing offenses to dictate the pace. While individual players show potential, the collective execution has often fallen short. Kenneth Murray, despite logging significant snaps, continues to miss the kinds of plays that can swing field position or halt momentum. Run fits are frequently off, gap assignments are occasionally blown, and coverage responsibilities are inconsistently met. Logan Wilson and Shamar James show promise as emerging talents, but integration into high-leverage situations has been slow. The defense, while structurally sound in theory, often finds itself reactive instead of proactive. Opponents are able to convert in crucial situations, turning potential stops into extended drives, which further strains an offense already trying to overcome early deficits. The interplay between defensive shortcomings and offensive struggles creates a compounding problem, where one side of the ball is constantly trying to compensate for the other, leaving the Cowboys in a constant state of catch-up. Special teams have continued to be a subtle yet impactful area of concern, while often overlooked. Penalties, miscommunications, and inconsistent blocking schemes have created hidden yardage losses that directly influence field position. A return that initially looks promising can quickly turn negative due to a penalty or blown assignment, dramatically altering the strategic landscape of a game. Personnel adjustments, smarter blocking schemes, and giving capable players like Sam Williams more responsibility could help reduce these costly mistakes. The cumulative effect of these issues in special teams often outweighs marginal gains elsewhere, making the area one of the most critical for improvement. If the Cowboys hope to compete at a high level consistently, every yard matters, particularly in close contests, and these hidden losses have been quietly undermining the team's overall performance. Cornerback play, while occasionally strong, remains inconsistent. Trevon Diggs possesses game-changing talent, capable of shutting down elite receivers and generating turnovers, but his inconsistency has prevented him from becoming the anchor of the secondary. Savoni Revel provides occasional stability, but the broader secondary still lacks cohesion. Players like Callan Carson and Reddy Stewart have struggled to deliver consistent performances, highlighting the importance of finding the right combination of starters and backups. Strategic decisions regarding who starts, who rotates in, and when to trust Diggs in high-pressure situations are now critical chess moves. For the coaching staff, the success or failure of the secondary will significantly influence the Cowboys' competitiveness in divisional games and against top-tier passing offenses throughout the league. Misalignment in coverage responsibilities, poor communication, and underutilization of defensive playmakers have all contributed to a defensive unit that has the talent but struggles to translate potential into consistent results. Blitzing, too, has been a major point of discussion. The Cowboys blitz at a rate slightly below the league average, yet the success of these blitzes has been inconsistent. Players capable of creating disruption, like Oversh, are not consistently deployed in high-leverage situations where they could make game-altering plays. Shemar James has flashes of brilliance, but is not yet a central figure in the defensive scheme. The reliance on zone coverage and conservative play calling has left the defense reactive, often forcing them into situations where they are simply trying to survive, rather than dictate the flow of the game. When blitzes are called, they frequently target the wrong positions, or are mistimed, leaving gaps that opponents exploit. Aligning defensive strategy with player strengths is a challenge the coaching staff has yet to fully meet, and until that alignment occurs, defensive inconsistencies will continue to hamper the team's ability to control games. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. A shockwave rattled through Dallas the moment an unexpected leak slipped into the sports world. Quiet at first, then spreading like wildfire through front offices, fan chats, and every corner of social media. According to whispers that surfaced out of nowhere, something big is brewing around the Cowboys, and it involves none other than Dak Prescott, the face of the franchise and the calm at the center of countless storms. No one saw it coming. One moment, the buzz around the team felt routine, the familiar hum of speculation that surrounds any major NFL organization. The next, the city found itself in a frenzy, fans rushing to interpret a hint, a clue, a vague suggestion that a key figure could be on the verge of leaving. Sources none confirmed, all suspiciously talkative hint that a player is on the way out, and the name whispered with the most urgency is Prescott's. What adds to the mystery is the tone of those early murmurs, not dramatic, not panicked, but almost disbelieving, as if the people closest to the situation can't quite trust what they're hearing. Yet the rumor refuses to die. Some claim there's tension behind closed doors. Others say negotiations stalled over something trivial that spiraled. A few insist the leak came from someone who should know better, someone who might have spoken to freely round the team facility. Eyes are darting, voices dropping, and every hallway feels charged. Fans outside the building act as if they're hearing thunder without seeing clouds. Is Prescott unhappy? Is the organization preparing for a shift it didn't plan to announce? No one knows, not officially, not confidently, but the timing, the tone, and the suddenness of it all have given Dallas the unmistakable scent of upheaval. And the strangest part, no one has stepped forward to calm the storm. Not a denial, not a clarification, not even the usual no comment meant to cool things down until someone breaks the silence. The city will stay on edge, caught between disbelief and anticipation, wondering whether this is a false alarm or the start of something seismic. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.